Okay. So, question of the day, and this seemed somewhat pertinent as we get into the end of things, is what does truth mean to you? How important is it to you? I'll give you a sec to ruminate.
The truth that others see is very important to me. My truth is whatever it needs to be at the time. What was the second part of the question, sorry?
I think you already answered it. It was
Okay.
how important is it, like the truth to you?
I realize I can make it what I need it to be most of the time, so
Yeah.
it's somewhat.
For Zayara, I would say that she interprets truth a lot like honesty, which ironically for someone that has survived being a thief and a con artist all her life, honesty from others is really important to her because she can't trust anyone unless they're honest with her.
Okay. Yeah, like you want people to be genuine because you've seen.
She's been screwed over too
Yeah.
many times and knows how all of the manipulators and swindlers work, so if you can't be honest with her, then why should she trust you?
Cool. Understandable. All right. Mix. What does Mix think of truth?
Yeah, he thinks it's sort of not their concept because he was raised by Boo, but he doesn't see truth as something that anybody actually shares. Everybody hides something.
Okay.
Ooh, good answer.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. How about you, Jaku?
I think with Jinku's intellect level, truth is kind of, its most basic and childlike form. It's a non-lie. And I mean, is it important? Yeah, in the sense that you shouldn't lie. Again, it's, with her level of intellect, it's childlike, but that's how she understands it.
Pure. Good old pure Jinku. All right. So, here, let me get a map up here for you. So, who wants to give us a little rundown of what you got up to last time? Had a couple of big things out in the bay,
Jinku and Zayara finally went shopping for once in our lives.
Yeah, we actually spent some of the hoard of gold that we've accumulated.
you had to get used to it since you're about to have, a big fucking hoard of gold. So you got to kind of get used to the feeling of swiping the credit cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, That's the way she goes.
I bought a fancy hat. I don't remember what Zayara got. A custom fancy hat.
Custom fancy, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got a bag of holding finally.
Oh yeah.
So aside from the shopping trip, though.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, that's the only important part. I know that we
I told you, I
We
sometimes zone out on purpose.
we decided to go to Raynar to see if he could help us solve the riddle, because it mentioned like the visage of one you hold most dear, and so we were assuming that that was interpreted as the visage of whomever Raynar's father held most dear, which we were assuming was his wife.
That's right.
And so we were talking to Raynar and decided to go to the crypt because we thought that the bust of like her grave might be like where the door is, or might be a clue. And then we found out that the visage was actually Raynar, and Raynar had some feels because he didn't think his dad actually loved him. And then we went through the secret door, and I think that's where we left off.
So, the first half of the bet, you guys were finishing up getting the keys, which you had the big ass bronze dragon that lives in the bay that you guys had a nice chat with. And then, finally got out of the underwater submersible and stopped vomiting everywhere. And had your shopping trip, got Raynar, went to the crypt, went down into the crypt, found some secret passages in there, investigated a bit, and you guys got to the door, the vault door, and used the keys, found out Raynar was one of them, and the door is open, and that is where we left. So right now, where you guys are all standing there, so the door is right behind you to the south there. So these massive kind of adamantine stone doors slid open, and beyond is this like massive foyer that is, um, pretty caked with dust everywhere. Clearly this has not seen a whole lot of outside activity in quite a while. Ahead of you in the room, you see that there are these three kind of worn columns. There's like the one right in front of where Tord is standing, and then two behind it, and like these support up above your head. You see that each of these columns supports like a stone bridge that kind of crosses over in the darkness up above you there. It looks like some of those bridges might be a little crumbly. There's bits of stone that are around on the ground down here. But like this chamber goes up quite a ways. Like those bridges, you estimate, are probably like 60 feet above your guys' heads, and you're not quite sure how far the ceiling is above that. Just from the darkness, like Tortor at least, with his like pure vision or whatever it is, it looks like the ceiling is about 20 feet further up past those bridges up above you guys. And then all around the edges of this room are these alcoves that are embossed with images of dwarf warriors in plate armor and various other kind of designs of various depictions of dwarven life and warfare, at least from where you guys are standing here. It is pretty deathly silent down here.
While we're moving around down here, I will put my familiar on the ground and have him walk ahead of me, and I will give him it, not him. I will give it like my artisan's tools to carry. I just
Oh,
want him to weigh a little bit,
okay. I see.
just in case.
I see,
I'm
I see
not.
what you're
I'm
going
not.
for.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, then like I'll kind of poke around.
Sure. So you guys are looking around in here, and like your footsteps, they're like slightly muffled just from the dust, the gauges of dust that have like settled on everything. But they still echo a bit in like the empty space above your heads in this huge entrance foyer as you guys kind of cross over the kind of intricate tile work and stonework that's on the floor here. Boo, as you're kind of heading up towards the north there, you see along the northern wall there are several uh, frescoes that seem to be depicting some things. Three of them, in fact. There's kind of three niches against the wall there, and each one has a fresco inside of it here. The first one on the left appears to actually roll a. I'm pretty sure you would know this stuff, but roll a history check for me, Boo. I think you know a little bit at least about dwarf
I could
history.
read Dwarven.
You can
That's
read
all.
Dwarven. You can read Dwarven. Okay, well, you at least know a little bit about like dwarvish, historical religion stuff a little bit. Um, this first fresco, at least from like the design, like you've seen depictions of this person before in books and things. This appears to be a depiction of Dumathoin, who is one of the kind of main dwarven gods. And he appears to be depicted placing these glowing gems into a range of mountains, which look to be some sort of representation of like the sword, like the kind of main Sword Coast mountain range. Um, the second fresco is kind of interesting. You see Dumathoin visiting with a another god you don't quite recognize, but it seems to be manifested as a disembodied kind of emerald tinted brain. And Dumathoin seems to be like hanging out in this like maze like structure, bathing with it in like green energy, which seems strange. If anybody else wants to like try to roll like a history check and see if they know anything about dwarven history at all, feel free. We'll see if anybody else does anything extra about that. Okay.
Okay, just a nat 20.
Nice, nice. Uh,
It will be the only one.
so Zara, I wouldn't say that you'd probably know too much about this other being depicted here, but you do recall seeing it elsewhere before. You remember when there was the Illithid guy, the Mind Flayer guy that you guys went after and killed down in his lair under the city a while ago.
The first one.
Yeah. Uh, well, there was the very first one way back when, but eventually you went and killed that guy a long time later. He was like, there were some chambers there where it looked like he was trying to turn people into Illithids. Some other kind of creepy shit going on.
Oh yeah, the time that Torta actually almost died.
Yeah, it was connected with like the Fight Club stuff. There was some sort of backrooms thing going on with like the dead from the Fight Club that they were doing some weird science shit with. But you remember depictions of a being like this kind of like emerald brain in that guy's like lair. So you assume this is probably some sort of illithid deity. We don't really know much about it, but that is your assumption. Which seems odd that dwarves would be cool with that, at least from your general knowledge of dwarves and kind of the general knowledge of what most people think about illithids. So that seems a bit out of place. And then the third fresco has a depiction of Dumathoin, this illithid character, except in this one, instead of them being depicted as just a large green brain, they're depicted in more of a traditional illithid form. They still kind of have this like greenish tint around their head, which seems to indicate that this is like the same deity, just taken illithid form instead of just as a disembodied brain. And also, Boo, with your knowledge of history, there's a third figure as well, Laduguer, who is the god of the Durgar. And all three of them are like standing in a circle with each other and like clasping their hands together in friendship.
But that seems weird.
Just a little bit.
Aside from these frescoes, to the west, you guys see there's two of like the kind of hallways leading off here. Like actually go to like these, I know these kind of large adamantine, this kind of metallic doors. Like all of these other little alcoves have like more kind of artistic depictions in them, but these two leading to the west are doors.
Well, which one of these doors should we try first?
Hopefully the one that doesn't lead us to more of those illithid things.
Okay. So the doors. Let's see here. So the doors on the west, which are kind of up in the northwestern part up here, they are able to be swung open with like a little bit of effort, just because of the age, but they don't seem to be locked in any fashion. And they swing open, and there seems to be kind of like a smaller subset of this kind of large antechamber, including a set of stairs to the south that kind of winds around upwards, seemingly towards whatever level is up above you, where those like bridges were. It appears.
Well, I suppose we're never going to figure this whole thing out if we don't move forward.
Agreed.
All right. You guys decide to head up the stairs.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Let me get. Here we go. Should be this one. Get you guys on the map here. All right, let me know if you guys can't see anything.
Cannot see.
Cannot see. Okay, let
I
me.
see my token and that's it.
off the lighting and just do this manually. Let's see. Okay, how about now?
Here we go.
Yep.
Okie doke. All right, so up the stairs here, they kind of wind up a ways, about 60 feet up, it seems, and you come out at the top, and you find yourselves kind of standing at the end of this long hallway that heads to the south. It's about 20 feet high, and again, the floors are more of these kind of intricately tiled and styled stone floors. There's 3 pillars down the length of the hall. All 3 of them are carved to resemble warhammers. It looks like, with the square main head of the warhammer is on the bottom part of the pillar against the floor, and then kind of this ornately carved handle goes up, kind of supporting the roof of the hall. At a couple regular intervals, there seem to be openings to the east off of this hall, which kind of open into the upper part of that large antechamber below, with these kind of narrow-ish stone bridges that go across and connect to the columns that were in the middle of that lower room. And you can see that there are what looks like some sort of rooms on the other end of those bridges, with a door set in each one. All along the western wall of this hallway, you see another kind of long mosaic that depicts a dwarven smith at a forge, um, crafting things out of metal and diamonds. Oh, sorry, let me unlock. There you go. Okay, should be able to scoot around now. And I'll go ahead and uncover these bridges here.
So it seems like we need to get across these busted ass bridges to the other side.
Yeah, it looks
There's
like
not
across
much
each one of
wall.
these there's a door at the other end on the other side.
Okay, but we'll try and cross this bridge.
Yep. Is your token being weird, Riz?
Yeah.
Here, let me try to move you and get you out of wherever it's stuck on. Okay.
Mix is going for this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So as you guys are kind of tentatively kind of going out across these bridges here, they definitely seem like they've seen better days. There's parts of them that have crumbled away. As you're kind of walking across, even though it's pretty gingerly, you can kind of feel the kind of somewhat unsteadiness of these as you continue making your way across.
My familiar is still running around ahead of me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, your familiar isn't triggering anything in particular, but just even the slight weight of your familiar, you can see kind of little small bits of stone. You can hear them kind of tumbling off of these arches down to the floor below.
I'll keep going. If it falls at all,
Mm-hmm.
like if it starts collapsing, I will Misty Step the rest of the way.
Okay. So far, it has not fully collapsed. It's definitely unstable. Probably would not be good to have everybody on a bridge at once. But it seems to at least be able to support you mix down on the southern one and Boo on the northern one without it going ham. Mix, you get all the way across on the bottom one there. and you find yourself up against another one of these kind of adamantine metal doors that are intricately carved. This one seems to be locked. I don't know if you have any. I know Boo's got like knock. I don't remember if you have something like that.
I do not.
Okay.
I'll go back across and tell Zayara. I mean, she's got lockpicking skills.
Okay.
And I'll search all these pillars and stuff to see if I can find a key or something.
Sure. So you are looking around there. Zai, do you try to go make your way across the bridge and see if you do anything with this door?
Yeah.
Okay. So you as well make it across the bridge by yourself without too much difficulty. You get to the door on the other side. You feel that it's locked. You're not seeing any sort of like physical lock hole. Yeah, perhaps some sort of like arcane lock holding this in place. Um, Boo, you're up at the northern one there. And let's see, this one. Where's this one? This door on the northern one, it has an adamantine door, but it does not seem to be locked at all. You push open the door, and beyond is a small room, small square room, and there is a 10-foot tall fresco kind of painted around the back walls of this room, which again depict these three deities, Dumathoin, Ladugor, and the third one that you aren't sure of the name of, but is Illithid, working together on some sort of project together. You're not quite sure what, but they're surrounded by papers that are covered in runes. There's these like strange, kind of slightly glowing diagrams that are depicted in these frescoes that fill the air around them. From where they're standing, like the Illithid deity and Ladugor, they both seem to be like intently working on some sort of, looking over some papers or something. But the depiction of Dumathoin is kind of striking. It's like looking directly like out of the fresco and seems to stare into the center of the room. There is a trap door in the floor made out of this adamantine metal with a pull ring on one side that is like right smack in the center of the room below where this kind of like staring fresco of Dumathoin is depicted.
Hey guys, I found a trap door in here. I'm gonna see what's in it.
Yeah, go through it.
All right.
Like, does it open? Is the ring like towards the door there?
Yeah, like the ring is on the near side to you. Yeah.
Like when I go to open it, I do so in such a way that my robes are kind of spread fairly wide open.
Okay. All right. So you reach down and grab the pull ring on the trap door and roll a DC 18 dexterity check.
Fuck yeah, I will. Hold on a sec.
Ooh.
Hold on a sec. Here.
All right.
I'll use my reaction
Okay.
to add +4 to that saving throw using my arcane deflection or
Ooh,
mage skill.
nice use of that. Yeah, good call. All right, so with that added, that you managed to pass and dodge out of the way as there are these rays of magical fire that seem to shoot out of Doomethorn's eyes, like striking where you just were a moment ago on the ground.
How heavy did the door seem?
Strangely, it didn't seem like it didn't even move. It felt like you grabbed the handle and like we're in the process of giving it a little tug. Like it felt like the handle was part of the floor.
I'll step to the side and try and use Mage Hand to do it again.
Okay. All right. So your mage hand comes out, floats over, grabs onto the ring. Doesn't seem to trigger this fire blast as it attempts to pull this up, and it does not seem to be able to lift it. It doesn't budge. It like the ring. It just the only thing that moves is the ring. You try to like go up and inspect them.
Yeah,
Trap
can I
door.
use like investigation and
Yeah.
poke around?
Yeah, sure. All right. So you kind of get up in there on the ground and kind of try to investigate this trap door in the floor. And from what you're seeing, like trying to, feel for any sort of draft or look for any sort of gap or anything at all, um, you seem to come to the conclusion that this trapdoor is not a real trapdoor at all. It's fake trapdoor.
Are you sure it's not a fake trapdoor?
It's more of a trap door than it is a trapdoor.
I go back and I don't tell anybody that. I just tell them there's nothing in there. It's just
All
a
right.
hole around.
All right. So Zai, you were down there at the door at the Arcane Lock. Is there anything that you have that you think you're able to do with that, or do you kind of go back and get that information to everybody else?
I think she would. I have to actually read my spells again.
Okay.
It's been a bit.
Been a hot minute.
She would probably try to cast Dispel Magic on the door.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that's a reasonable solution to that. So you cast your Dispel Magic on this Arcane Lock, and it seems to, you kind of hear a slight shifting in the metal of this door, and you find that you are able to push it open, and you find a small little room beyond.
Okay.
So in this room, what you find is that the northern, eastern, and southern walls of this room are adorned with dust and are covered with frescoes depicting dwarven smiths at work in their forges. You also notice in the back, against the back wall, a fresco in particular depicting the construction of what looks like a temple of some kind And the kind of artistic interpretation of it is that it seems to be depicted as being at like the heart of a mountain, and there is a large iron anvil in the middle of the room that sits atop kind of a raised stone plinth in the middle of the floor, kind of draped with cobwebs. And against the back wall, there is a like you notice among the frescoes on the back wall, kind of depicting this construction. Um, one of the depictions of like a hammer in it seems to kind of stick out a little more from the wall than the rest of like the fresco.
Zayara is gonna go over to the fresco that's sticking farther out,
Mm-hmm.
and she's going to try and press it or like move it somehow.
Okay, sure. So you try to grab on this hammer in the wall, and it does seem to like come out of the wall, and you're kind of holding this hammer. And you see that there is a inscription etched into the wall behind this hammer, um, and it's in Dwarvish, which I don't think you can read.
No,
But it's
I can read Infernal.
yeah, there's an inscription in Dwarvish that you're not sure what it says, and there also seems to be a kind of small alcove behind the hammer, which looks to have some very dusty looking rolled up pieces of like parchment.
I think Zai is going to slowly reach into the alcove to get the parchment.
Okay. All right. So you reach in, pull these pieces of parchment out, and you're kind of rolling them out carefully to see what's on here. They seem to be a series of detailed maps and notes. You're not entirely sure of what they depict, since a lot of the writing on this is in Dwarvish. But at least, like, just from like the artwork of the maps, it seems to be something underground somewhere. And then there's also a bunch of notes that look like mathematical calculations of some kind. You're not entirely sure what it all means since you can't read most of it, but it seems interesting at least. Along with the kind of interesting inscription you also can't read.
Would I know that Boo can read Dwarvish? Is that something that has happened already?
Yeah, he did. I mean, he did read the Dwarvish that was at the big vault door you guys
I
opened.
am never going to be quiet about knowing something that you guys don't. So yeah, definitely. If we ran into it
Also that.
earlier, it would have been a show. Like I would have had lights all around me. I would have like brushed the runes off. I would have huffed and puffed for like 15 minutes. So you would have been able to tell.
Okay. So Zai is going to call for Boo. I assume he can hear.
Yeah, I mean, this is all kind of up in this upper part of this kind of big antechamber. So if you're gonna shout something, yeah, it can echo around and get to people.
Okay, so she's gonna call for Boo and let him know in flowery appreciation that she needs his expertise
Oh
in
Lord.
order to solve the problem.
Okay.
Of course you do. I no problem. I've got this.
All right. So you head in here. You take a look at the this inscription in the wall behind where the hammer was, and from the Dwarvish runes, it says Let hearts be lifted and battles won to the sound of ringing steel.
Um, so Zayara is going to take the hammer back from Boo because she's fairly confident she's stronger than he is. And then she's going to take the riddle quite literally and use the hammer on the giant anvil in the room.
All right. So you come smacking down with this hammer on this anvil, and like all of you, the two of you here in the room, especially, but the other three of you that are kind of over in the hall across the way, you kind of hear this, uh, you know, quite nice, sonorous ringing coming out of this anvil. I mean, like you've heard plenty of anvils in your day, and how they sound. Like this one definitely seems like it's been specifically more tuned for the sound of it than it was more for the use of it. And as this echoes over all of you, um, you feel uh, you feel a bit lifted, and you all gain. Let's see here. "20 temporary hit points."
Damn.
Nice.
So if you want to put those temporary points there in your character sheets, there, nice little blessing. As for the parchment stuff, boom. You take a look over these, and from the descriptions that you're able to make out, these seem to be detailed maps of some portion of the Undermountain. Specifically, whatever part of the Undermountain has contains this temple of Dumathoin in the heart of the mountain. Um, it doesn't depict the exact location of this temple and heart of the mountain, but it seems like a lot of these like detailed notes and mathematical calculations seem to be related to determining its location. Um, Somehow down in that area.
I'll show them to Zayara and give them to her. They were in the room she was in.
Okay.
Can't really steal them without her noticing. So
It is a very small room.
Mix, you were out there poking around the hall looking for stuff. Roll me a perception check as you were kind of looking around in the hallway back there for stuff. Okay. All right. So as you're kind of poking around down here, especially on this like southern end of the hallway, you feel there's a part of the wall on the western side, right up against the kind of bottom corner of the hallway, that seems to shift very slightly at your touch. Down here.
Well, I'm gonna push harder on it. See what happens.
All right. All right. So you push that open, and you find a very small, very dust-filled room that seems to have not been disturbed in quite some time. In the back end of this room, you see a number of urns. These kind of decently sized copper urns in the back, and you see some dwarven runes kind of carved on the wall above these urns. I don't think you can't read Dwarvish, right? I think it's just Boo. Pretty sure.
Let me check. I don't remember what languages I can do.
Celestial, Common, Elvish, Primordial,
No,
and
I read.
Ordinary. All right, so you weren't able to read them, but there are dwarven runes on the back wall, which, as we've previously established, you all are well aware that Boo can read Dwarvish, as he has shown off several times now, to much fanfare and rejoicing. But you do take a look at these urns, even though you can't read the stuff on the wall, and they seem to have a decent bit of loot in them. The first urn contains what looks like 5 tourmaline gems mixed in with a variety of copper pieces. You also find the second urn has a ring inside of it, along with a few other kind of more ordinary looking rings. The third urn's piled high with quite a decent bit of gold pieces. Urn 4 has a number of blue quartz gemstones, and Urn 5 has a 9-inch tall silver statuette of what looks like some sort of dwarven priest with amethysts in his eyes.
Nice. Well, I'll let Boo know that there's more Dwarvish to read and try to figure out how to get across that middle bridge.
All right, well, I put all that loot in the party sheet for y'all here. So Boo comes excitedly scurrying across the bridge.
No, not at all excited. I complained the entire time
Oh,
about
sorry.
how I am
You have to remember
unsurprised
Boo.
that
Who
that
asked?
Mix can't fucking read it. I'm surprised Mix can read it all. He probably broke and ruined most of what I was doing with his oafish hands because he always takes the quick way out. I'm just like, bitch, I fucking hate Mix.
All
So
right. So you get in here, these urns full of stuff, and these dwarven runes on the wall read, in these grand halls which his craft has wrought, the master architect Harlsnod Darkshine lays his secrets. So it seems to be kind of like a little architect's note from whoever designed this place, being like, this is my stuff.
I go directly to Mix and inform him of the stuff that he was unable to read that I was. Very smugly. Did you figure out how to get across the other path yet, Mix, or did you need me to do that for you?
And it's so it's
No,
about
I'm gonna go out here.
about a 15-foot gap in the bridge that seems to have collapsed away.
I could toss you.
Come on, Jinka. Oh, I don't know if both of us should be out on this bridge at the same time. It might collapse. I'll tie a rope around my waist and toss it to Jinku in case I miss.
All right.
I guess I'm gonna jump for it. So athletics.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably athletics. Well, no, that'd be acrobatics, I guess, since it's a jump. Wait, acrobatics is
Okay, but I am going to have my gaseous form spell primed and ready in case I do fall.
Okay, good call. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it look like I did it on purpose if I miss. So
Style points. Oof.
Oof.
All right, so you come running, up the bridge here, and you like kind of put your foot down to give yourself a launch, and it's a little bit looser of ground than you were expecting, and you don't quite get the nice launch that you were wanting into the air. And so I assume with feeling that ground kind of going to crap under you there, you let your gaseous form off.
Yeah, as soon as I feel that this isn't going to go well for me, I pop gaseous form and just float across, like I meant to do it.
Smooth. Okay. All right. So you make it all the way across with that there, and you find yourself up against another one of these metal doors. This one. This one also appears to be locked.
I'm going to do an investigation check to see if I can do this myself.
Okay. All right. So I mean, just
Or
from
I don't know what I need to roll.
go ahead and roll like an Arcana. Oof.
I am rolling terrible.
I mean, at least you're
Use your dice,
hopefully
fella.
getting those out of the way now, for, for later. Um, you sense that there is some sort of magic to the door, but you haven't really had a lot of experience with kind of magical locks of stuff, so it's a little bit out of your wheelhouse, it seems. With the rest of you, I know Torda at least can probably get across this real easy. That part's not going to be a problem for him.
Oh man, I don't think I can do anything to help.
Alright, Toto will jump across since he's incapable.
Oh, here, let me share the. Just realized you can't see the map here. There you go, Torda. All right, so Torda, you come out here. 15-foot gap, no problem. Not even you don't even need to check. This is just another Tuesday for you. And you kind of deftly leap across this and get over with Boo here, up against this door, which seems to be locked.
Is that a wood door?
It is a metal door. It is adamantine.
It's like the whole wall, the jam, everything.
Yeah, it's a kind of mixture of either stone and or metal. But it's all really dusty and old though, so.
I will go ahead and start using the normal Fist of Doom.
All right. So, Torda, you start kind of wailing into this door here, and like the one to the south, like this one's kind of closed with an arcane lock, but it's also been around for quite a while, and even though it is made out of metal and stone, these things do wear down a bit over time, especially in the face of ceaseless violence. And Torda, with your fists out, pounding the crap out of this thing, you manage to kind of warp it enough that whatever mechanism is locking it can't really get as good a hold as it could anymore, and it kind of awkwardly screeches open into the room beyond. was my map? There we go. Here we go. Which is another small square room. In this one, there are 4 suits of rusted-looking plate armor without helmets, sized for a dwarf. And they stand in the corners of the room here. Each suit is draped in cobwebs and dust. There are dwarvish runes that are carved into the far wall. And that seems to be all that is in here. Is this engraving on the wall and these just empty suits of armor.
I'm not interested in that crap.
I'll go in and check everything out. I'm
Okay.
assuming there's more dwarvish in here we need
Mm-hmm.
blue for.
Yeah, on the wall. There's definitely some dwarven runes up there.
I really don't want him to think that we need him for anything, but he is the only one who can read it. I'm going to check out the suits of armor and see if there's
Sure.
anything.
For the suits of armor, they seem to be just kind of regular plate armor suits of armor, very old, and not really the size of most of you, but nothing strange about them. They're just kind of they seem to be like they were probably pretty nice at some point, but time spent a long time. But they just seem to be kind of decor in this room.
I'll jump back across
Alright,
and let
I'll
Boo
tell
know that he's needed.
All right, Boo, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'll go in there and help Toad out.
Okay, how are you getting across the gap?
You want me to carry you over? I can just put you on my shoulder and jump.
Boo will like pull his hands up into his robes and climb onto Tortoise's shoulder.
All right.
Get ready. I'll jump as high and far as possible.
All right. You do so with Boo, even with a little bit of extra weight from Boo. You can jump pretty significantly far horizontally, and so this is not an issue. But you can land on the other side. Boo, you head inside. You see these dwarven runes on the wall, and this one reads that a secret never before told will part Dumathoin's lips.
Sounds pretty dirty.
It kind of does, I guess.
But Dumathoin is in the room above us, right?
There's been several different depictions of Dumathoin around the area, but yeah, one of them is up there.
Is there any in this room?
In this room, let me see here real quick. There are, actually, now that I've scrolled down a little further here, the 3 walls, on each of the walls, so like the one to the north has the depiction of that Illithid deity, the one to the east where the dwarven runes are at has a depiction of Dumathoin, and the one to the south has the depiction of Ladiguer.
I'll tell Torta and Mix to go stand outside, and I'll whisper a secret to the Doomethwain image in here and see
Alright.
if anything happens.
What's the secret that you're telling Doomethwain that has never been told before?
The only reason I give a shit about any of these children is because they're a path to immortal life for me.
Alright. Alright. So you kind of whisper this. And when you do, the center kind of square of this room flips open out of the ground. And you kind of peer down into the darkness of this, and it seems that it's opening down. Like there's a very short little ladder that goes, and then there's like a spiral staircase that it connects to that seems to wind down into the darkness.
I'll tell them, they probably hear it too, but I'll be like, hey, come on. I, of course, am powerful enough to do everything that we need, but I need the fodder to go check for anything that, fodder should check for. Why don't you check it out, Mix? See what's down there.
Zai, Jinka, what are you two doing to get across this gap?
I'm not jumping with the Loxodon on me, sorry.
I will definitely be going last because my weight is the most compromising on this thing.
Alright. Zai, how are you getting across?
How big of a gap did you say it was?
About 15 foot.
Oh. Just 15 feet?
With an acrobatics check for a jump?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try jumping it, but Zai's got to get across first.
Okay.
How's your acrobatics, Zai?
Probably not good.
Oddly
Oh,
enough, the
oh,
giant skeleton I
oh!
have a +2 in it.
Zayara casts Dimension Door.
Ooh.
I forgot that I took that one.
Alright.
She's just really gonna flex on Boo with this one. So she casts Dimension Door, and she like blinks out of existence for a second, and then appears on the other side of the gap.
Okay. I do just before you go into the dimensional door.
Mm-hmm.
There's in the description of this, which I would assume that Zayara would know.
Mm-hmm.
You can bring along stuff that doesn't exceed what you can carry, and you can also bring one willing creature
Oh, I didn't see
who
that.
is is at least of your size, with their gear, if you so choose. I noticed that I was reading through, and I was like, you might want to know that.
Yeah, I only saw the first paragraph.
So yes, if you want to take Jinku with you through your dimensional door adventure,
I am willing.
you can.
I can't just
That
put
would
her in my
really be
bag
a
of
flex
holding and my bag of holding can fit a whole Loxodon. What about yours?
Oh man, that'd be awesome. Put me in the bag of holding. I'll pop my head.
Your trunk will just snake out and grab food out.
Pass me pocket peanuts.
Yeah, so Zayara will cast Dimensional Door and call to Jinku to come over to her, and then
I will very, very daintily do that.
and she explains that they can get to the other side of the gap with this door.
Cool.
All right. Well, that works. You managed to do this dimensional door, and it looks like you can kind of have the other end pop out wherever the heck you want. So I don't know if you're wanting it just their side of the bridge and the room back there with Boo.
Well, because she's showing off to Boo, she's gonna have them pop out like right at the east side of the room.
All right. So Zai and Jinku come striding out of this dimensional door portal comfortably without any acrobatic effort.
Hey guys.
And you're all standing around this open trapdoor that leads down.
Well, I ain't going first.
Sorter has no hesitation. He'll drop down.
All
Not
right.
even use the ladder. And flex as he does.
This Boo's a big baby.
All right. Let me get you guys onto new map here. A second.
So many maps.
Indeed. Oops. Hey, Coco, buddy. Get on my lap here.
No.
Okay. Close this one. All right. Let me know if you can't see anything.
I just
Yep.
Yeah, there's like a strip of hallway.
Okay. So at least the lighting on this one seems to be working okay. All right.
I don't see it.
You don't see it?
No.
Alright.
That's because you don't have dark vision.
Oh, yeah,
Ooh.
that might be it.
No, because I have dark vision and I can't see shit.
Oh.
Okay. Here, let me.
Then it's just fantasy grounds being
Yeah.
fantasy grounds.
Oh, this line, especially with these especially when there's narrow
There we go.
hallways, it gets. Don't look, secrets. Ah.
Secrets.
Nope.
Okay, that's fine. I just made it invisible again. Okay. How about
There
now?
we go.
Cool. Okay. So you head down these stairs, and they wind down for quite a ways. It seems like you're below, the initial kind of large room you guys came into after the big vault doors. It seems like you're probably below that by this point. And you kind of step out of the spiral staircase coming down, and you guys find yourselves in kind of a narrow hallway that extends to the north and then turns to the west, and then also goes to the south and goes to the west. Seems to kind of go into some sort of larger area. There's kind of this kind of faint. There's like a faint kind of smell in the air. A bit musty, but also a bit You can't quite place it. It's not really something you've smelled before. What do you guys do?
I'll head south.
Okay. You guys just kind of head out around these corners here.
You're
Yeah, Zayara is just gonna follow behind Torta.
All right. Actually, just to make this easier at this point, because it all gets seen anyways. I'm just gonna take off the whole mask. Boom! You saw the whole room.
Ah!
Wow. Okay.
Ah, secrets.
Secrets. All right. So you guys come around. So although this is deep underground at this point, like you find yourselves in kind of this large vault chamber, and it's inexplicably lit by these streams of sunlight that kind of come down from the ceiling in some places. You're not quite sure how it's getting down here because it doesn't make any sense given the amount of planet between here and where the sun would be. But they come down from the ceiling, catching little motes of dust and things in their luminous pools. There's ornate columns, kind of dotting throughout this vault area. Many of them kind of carved in either depictions of kind of dwarven features, or there's more that are kind of in that Warhammer shape that you guys saw up above. The ceiling above is adorned with carvings of dwarves basking in the presence of their gods. And there's these deep alcoves that line the walls, many of which look to be, possibly storage for other things at some point. But in particular, you notice one alcove against the western wall, which is piled high with a vast golden trove. Assumedly, this embezzled pile of cash that got stashed here so long ago that everybody seems to be out for. As you guys are kind of standing here, you guys are coming out of this hallway, looking around, and seeing the big pile of cash. You kind of hear some very slight footsteps and kind of the sound of like a cane. It sounds like, and out of the kind of gloom down here, a very aged looking dwarf kind of hobbles towards you all, clutching this staff that's kind of ornately carved and painted. It looks like it has like these kind of engraved, entwined dragons on the staff, very fanciful. Despite his age and his hobbling, his eyes seem bright and clear still. And he says, "I wasn't expecting anyone. As you can see, the place is a bit of a mess. Uh, Perhaps you should come back later after I've tidied up a bit."
Well, if you're not tidy now, when are you gonna be tidy?
He kind of chuckles a bit at your response and says, "Well, well, I've certainly got plenty of time. It takes a while to take care of things, of course, at my age. But I mean, what brings you all down here to this forgotten corner of the world?"
Money, eternal life, usual shit. Hoping this guy dies along the way. As I point at Nix.
Certainly interesting companions to be along with, wishing for each other's demise.
Oh, I don't wish for him to die. And Jinku will pat Nix reassuringly on the shoulder.
So he continues kind of looking you over, and his eyes are kind of like bright and piercing, and he says, I haven't really expected to see anyone else except Lord Neverember since the last time he came. I just don't recall him ever mentioning anyone else about this place. How did you come to know? Did Neverember send you here?
Wait, I'm sorry. Point of order here. Did Raynar just stay up top to continue to have a moment?
I'm gonna assume that Raynar has probably been kind of just following along with you guys the whole
Okay.
time, silently. Kind of in awe of all of this. He probably would have actually, he probably he's come along. He's here too. We'll say he hasn't been saying much.
Clearly.
But he, as this aged dwarf is speaking about um, Lord Neverember, Raynar kind of comes up and is like, "You knew my father," and this kind of aged dwarf is like, "Ah, well, you've certainly grown since last I saw you." And Raynar kind of looks puzzled at this. He's like, he doesn't recall ever meeting this person before. Um, he thinks for a moment and is like, well, I'm afraid I don't believe I've had the pleasure. It sounds like you remember me, but I can't say I recall meeting a dwarf, especially one quite so aged as you seem to be. And the dwarf kind of laughs and is like, "Oh, well, I don't expect that you would have remembered me. I mean, last I saw you, you were but a wee child. Probably didn't register enough in your mind. It was just another person meeting with your father. But I do remember your face, your eyes. You have your father's eyes. Did he send you here with these companions of yours?" And Raynar kind of looks over at all of you. Um, like you can almost kind of like he doesn't like physically shrug, but you can kind of see him looking at you guys like, "What's our what's our story here, guys?" What are you guys going with as your?
I'll go into a whole spiel about how his father left this quest for when he comes of age and make up some bullshit.
Okay, I like it.
Like, we have to find the eyes and the stone, and yeah, it's a quest of adulthood for this guy.
Okay, okay. Uh, if we're going with that, do all of you agree this sounds like a good story to go with?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, all right, all right. Everybody roll a
Persuasion check.
everybody roll a deception check with advantage. All of you with advantage on this deception check roll.
Woo.
Jinku never was good at lying.
We'd established at the beginning of the session about what lying was to me and truth.
That is exactly why I chose that question. All right. So, Torta spiels out this whole story. And, this dwarf's kind of looking you all over here. And, all of you can kind of feel his eyes, like, looking through each of you. And he kind of looks past you all, and like as he kind of like his eyes stop on each one of you for a moment, and you see him kind of nod and continue on to the next one. He looks at Boo, nods, you mix. Zai, he gets to Jinku, and he's looking at Jinku, and Jinku, you're you said you're not really that much of a liar. He kind of lifts his kind of cane up and points it in your direction there, Jinku, and says, "You don't. This one doesn't seem quite so sure of that."
Well,
Well-
she's our special member. Just let her eat her pocket peanuts.
Well, to be fair, sir, I'm not sure about most things we're doing, so
All right,
I'm just the muscles.
all right. Roll, Jinku. Try rolling a persuasion check with advantage.
Be a great time for a nat 20.
Good enough. Good enough. So you kind of explain here that you're kind of the brawn of the group and are a little confused most of the time.
A little.
A little. A little. We're generous. We're being generous here.
Why? Nobody is like confused on the situation. I'm a fucking idiot.
But he manages to accept this story as reasonable, and he steps back a moment and nods and says, "Well, I mean, I guess I have honored the agreement that I made with Lord Neverember all those years ago, and well, with Raynar here on this coming of age, it seems. What can I say? This seems to fulfill that end of their request. I cannot stand in your way." And he kind of hobbles away. There's like another alcove, like the one directly east of here, where you see kind of almost kind of a piled up mound of various fabrics and wood and stuff. There's kind of this kind of makeshift um, platform of sorts, which is fairly large. Um, All right. So, let's see. Yeah. So, Mix, you're just kind of looking around this structure this dude seems to live on. And yeah, it just seems like a bunch of really old stuff just kind of piled up. And then this like little pile of gemstones that he's got.
Well, I'm not sure if this dude is like gonna transform into a dragon or something and eat me, so I'm not gonna mess with this stuff.
Good thinking.
All right. You guys heading over to the pile corner.
Yes.
All right. So you head over to the western part of this kind of large vault chamber. And I mean, you can't really count all out by hand right now, but with the amount that's over here, then yeah, like the estimate of there being like a fucking million GP or something down here seems like a pretty reasonable guess. It's a lot. Like this, this whole little alcove here. It's like a 10 foot by 10 foot alcove, and it's just like covered in coin and and some other stuff too. There's like some what look like statuettes and things and other finery that's made with gold and other precious things, but you know value wise, pretty significant hoard here. Um, the main question then kind of is, as you guys are looking over this, is you know, this is a lot. Uh, how are we gonna get this out of here? Um, or do we even get this out of here and just use this as our secret bank forever? Because it's quite a lot of gold. This weighs a lot. Definitely way more than could be shoved into like a bag of holding or something like that. It's nowhere near going to be able to hold this amount of stuff. Oh, sure, that's right. Let me reshare the map. There you go. Yeah, you should see it.
Well, I'm gonna look at Zayara and be like, "Get that bag of holding out. We're gonna fill it up at least." Are there any? Is any of the gold like in bags and stuff that we could just grab and go?
I'd say there's probably some of those in here among everything. There's probably some that are in like the little satchels and stuff you could grab. But most of it seems to be loose coinage.
Well, who did we promise? All did we promise gold to? So let's just take enough to pay everybody, and then we can use it as a bank. I'm fine with that. There's the weird dwarven dude who watches it.
Well, I mean, I guess Jinku, if you want to do a history check to see if you randomly remember who you guys promised money to.
Hey, might be the role that I get. It's usually
Right.
the random shit.
Hey, there you go. All right, so
Yeah.
Jinku, you recall that the kind of main deals that you guys had made with some of this coin was that there was a cut of a third that the Castellanters had made a deal with you for, which they said they needed to be able to pay off this demon lord that wants their kids. to kind of release them from this worse deal they made in the past. And that was the main one. And the other one was that Captain Zord had made a deal with you all for a 10% cut for the information and the getting everybody out of Xanathar's lair without becoming a beholder statue.
Well, of course I remembered the captain. I'm not going to forget anybody with a hat like
Of
that.
course. So a little under half, so 43% was the kind of total cut that was promised to people that you've made some deals with. But aside from that, the remaining lot of just under 600,000 approximate gold pieces, assuming that the estimate of $1 million is accurate, is free game for the rest of you.
How come I just got the urge to kill all those people off?
We are not betraying the captain.
I agree we should use this as a bank and just kind of leave it down here.
Who says the dwarf is going to protect it for us? It was a deal with Rainer's papa that they had.
Hey, dwarf guy, will you protect this for me?
He, kind of hops down from his little mound of things over here and kind of comes over. He says, my apologies. You can call me Barak Klanghammer. A little comes off the tongue a little better than dwarf guy. But I mean, my agreement was with Lord Neverember to watch over the trove that he placed down here. So if it is still down here, that still falls under the purview of my contract with Lord Neverember. I mean, he paid me well and in full for my services, and so I am more than happy to stay here if that be the will of you and his son.
Yep. You just hang out down here for a while longer.
Well, that I can certainly do.
Brock, sir, would you like some pocket peanuts?
He kind of waves his hand a bit and says, "Food is of no concern. I'm afraid I don't really partake of such things."
What? I plan my whole day around food.
Well, the days down here all kind of blur together after a while. There's plenty to think about and ruminate. That is enough.
Well, I guess more peanuts for me then.
All right. So with the, I mean, 43% of this pile is still a pretty significant amount. I don't think you're going to be able to get that much all in one go, even with the bag of holding. But I mean,
So,
Well,
Frodo, bring this up to the group. We don't have to tell the people we found $1 million. We could tell them we found 1,000. Who's gonna know?
They'll figure it out when we start spending money all over the place. Or we could just keep this down here and spend it on really expensive gear and stuff and not tell anybody.
Don't you think that's, when we found it, don't you think somebody else may eventually find it too?
I'm not worried about somebody else. I mean, we have a nice protective dwarf.
Well, that and finding it was a little involved.
Yeah.
Zayara says that we should at least pay off the captain.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd rather not piss up a army of pirate night elves.
And there is a kid that part of this is going to save, paying that demon or something, right?
Yeah, the twins, the Castellanter twins, which you guys have. There's been a couple of little side quests you guys have gone on to kind of try to help protect them from various groups that seem to be after them.
I mean, let's be honest, even if we honor our agreements, it's still what's left over a fuck ton of money, probably like more than we need. So, like, let's just be like decent people and honor our agreements.
Well, I'm saying the Castellaners and the captain. Everybody else will lie to.
Well, aren't those the only like people we made deals with this money?
Yes, yeah, those are the only two that you have any sort of promises related to this money regarding. Like,
Castellaners is 100,000, right?
the 100,000 is Zord. He wanted 10%. The Castellaners needed a third.
Well, if they need the money. It's up to them to get the wagons or something over here, and well,
Yeah, I mean that's certainly
figure
something you
out how to haul it up.
could go with. Let it. They have an estate. If you want to try to get some help from them to try to get some of this out of there for them, yeah, that's something you guys could certainly do.
Oh, we'll just tell them we found it, but we have no way to move it.
I mean,
Do
we
you know what kind of
give it to
money?
them. We never agreed that we would bring it directly to them.
I would say we set up another location, not bring them here ever. Like that's not intelligent.
Okay.
Yeah, you make a valid point there.
I mean, I like living, and I don't want to have to kill a lot of people to stay alive. But that's what's going to happen if you bring people here.
Yeah. Okay, so if we're gonna go that route of like having
It's
some sort of middle location where the distribution actually happens from, and not taking people down to the secret place in the secret place behind the secret walls and everything else. What kind of place are you guys thinking of using for that then?
I mean, I don't mind doing work, humping the goat out of here. We can get some barrels and roll them out. I don't care. I would just rather protect our fortune. I mean, we got magical kind in here.
Is there like maybe other spots like on like the other side somewhere that there's like another secret passage or something? Like,
So as you guys are kind of like discussing this amongst yourselves, trying to think of like how we could have some sort of middle place to bring this to and not have it all here, or that kind of sort of stuff. All of you roll. Let's see what can I do for this. And I guess the only one that really fits would be history, I guess. Roll a history.
Oh, mine's stuck.
Yeah, that's weird. Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, it took like forever. Oof, Zai.
So, Mix, Torta, and Boone. You guys are kind of just thinking about different scenarios with this, and someone that you guys have worked with a fair bit over the course of all of this, who might come in handy as a kind of middleman front of sorts, is probably Mert.
Ah,
He is a money lender by trade, and also a well-known former adventurer, and has probably dealt with these kinds of situations before. But if you are wanting someone to be able to pass large sums of money through to people and not have to bring them down here, um, that kind of comes to the front of your three's mind as someone who might be able to help in this situation in that regard, since that's kind of his profession anyways. A convenient laundering avenue.
All right. Well, I guess some of us should go talk to Mert about taking care of this. And then, like, Torta and I could go figure out, like, some carts or barrels or something to
hmm
haul stuff. We could probably put some in our pockets. And how much is a bag of holding? Maybe we could buy a couple bags of holding or something.
Well, I mean, the bags, like the one bag of holding that you guys got was like 1,500, and that was able to hold. How much space does this one have? Okay, so the bag of holding that Zai's got can hold 500 pounds, and the money in here. The amount of money that's in here, just from some quick maths, you estimate would probably weigh around 20,000 pounds total, approximately. So there's like they're literal tons of gold here.
Can't we just go pay a wizard to create a pocket dimension? Shove what we need in there, and then just drop it at these people's places.
I'm sure that wouldn't be cheap.
And again, you're bringing
I'm just
somebody
gonna
that
look
you
at
have
pile
to
of gold.
trust.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna have to find somebody we would actually trust to. I think
Okay.
I would rather bring Mert into it.
So, if with just the bag of holding alone, it would take 40 trips with just the bag of holding, if that was the only thing you were carrying cash in, to get everything out of this vault. 40 of those. So of course, anything on top of that will make this faster. But that just as a baseline, with the bag of holding, that alone is 40 trips.
I mean, I say I agree with it. Let the other group go get Mert. We'll start looking for apparatuses to move some gold closer. That way he can take it from that point and not ever see down here. Or the room that leads to down here.
Okay. All right.
I mean, hell, we could even start taking the bag of holding and just dump it upstairs in another room and bring it there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, if the one bag of holding is 40 trips and you're just taking it up to a, some sort of cart or something upstairs, that's just 40 trips up and down the staircase, pretty much.
Didn't you say there was some urns upstairs?
There were some urns upstairs. They had some other stuff in them, but there was still space in them if you wanted to put coins in
I
there.
have an idea.
Which idea?
If I study for an hour, I can make a tensor's floating disk.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that can have, and that's so the way I read this, right? It can hold up to 500 pounds.
Okay.
In a 3 feet diameter area.
Okay.
So that's a pretty decent area.
Mhm.
It's a level 1 spell.
Mhm.
For which I have 4 slots. It doesn't say that it requires concentration. And I don't know how I would rule this, but I wonder to you, DM,
Yep.
if one can cast 4 tensors floating discs at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, since it's not concentration, I don't see why not. That seems, and especially since it's like a level 1 spell, so it's not like a super, involved high level spell or whatever. Like I don't see why some wizard couldn't just toss out a whole bunch of floating discs for whatever shit they're up to.
So that'll let us carry a ton at a time. How much weight did you say it was?
20,000.
20. So that'll let us carry 2,000 with
Does it say how
500
long
in
it
a
lasts?
thing. Okay. So I think if you guys went and made sure Merc could do this, we could get this all ferried. That'd be about
It'd be eight trips.
yeah.
So with the bag, with just the bag of holding and just the tensor's discs, that's 8 trips. And if you guys are stuffing pockets and
Oh, we're
whatever
not
other things on top of that, you could probably be like maybe even 6, 7.
we're not trying to move all of it, right? We're just moving the 43% to pay off folks.
Oh, okay. So if you're just doing
Right?
that
That's my
amount,
understanding.
okay,
Yeah, that's what we want to get out of here first, and then we'll come back and deal with the rest.
okay. So if you did just the part to pay the people off, that would be about 8,600 pounds of gold. So and then divided by the tensor discs and the bag of holding, that would be like 3.5 trips.
Okay.
So we'll say 3 trips if we include extra pockets and things stuffing in people's bags and whatnot.
So if you
3
guys
trips.
go get Mert sorted, then I bet he could provide us, if he has experience, he could probably provide us with some carts and guards.
Hmm. And probably
And
safe
then,
storage.
yeah, and then Torta and I can get the 43% that we need up here. And then I bet afterwards we can probably pay the carts and guards a little bit to help us get the rest, to our place safely or something.
Yeah.
Jinku would probably be more useful helping Boo and Torta.
All right.
Well, if we're gonna move it to our place, I'll go get a scroll for a pocket dimension, and Boo can create that, and that's our safe at our house.
There you go. Yeah, you could go that route. Yeah. I think for like a scroll like that, I mean, it's not like its cost is going to be an issue, but let's see.
I think
Okay, so that is an 8th level spell. So that would be classified as a scroll able to cast. Wait, what was the name of the spell? Demiplane. So what this would do is it would create a shadowy door on a solid surface. The door is large enough to allow medium creatures to pass through unhindered. When the door is open, it leads to a demiplane that appears to be an empty room 30 feet in each dimension made of wood or stone. When the spell ends, the door disappears. Anything that's inside there remains trapped there. The door also disappears from the other side. Each time you cast the spell, you can either have it open a new demiplane or you can have it reconnect to an existing demiplane that you have done before. So you basically have a pocket bank door to a interdimensional vault space. And buying a scroll for that, you'd probably have to find something like that. Likely from like the Mages Guild itself would probably be one of the few places that would even have a scroll of that level. But that's probably going to be about between like 5 and 10,000 gold, which, you know, affordable at this point. But that's what it would be since it's an 8th level.
So why don't you put that in your bag of holding and we just do that instead of worrying about moving it?
Actually, yeah, that actually would work kind of nice for that, because if you did have a demiplane, you could open a door to a demiplane down here, put stuff in it, and then go back home. If you open a demiplane, you can open it to the same demiplane space. So yeah, you could.
The
So
Yeah,
one catch is we're gonna need a scroll every time we do this.
we're going to need 4 total. Because I wouldn't put our money and their money together.
Yeah.
could you? Well, I guess with the scroll you can.
I can't learn 8th level spells.
That's
Like
true. Yeah, you
it's going to be
can't.
a very difficult spell to cast.
That's true.
Now, what about? There's
What,
probably no wizards that would sell a demiplane.
I was going to say, what about doing like I did with my ring? Can't you put something into an item?
That's kind of something like
Oh, I see. So like get like trying to confuse that spell into a thing.
there was a cool series, and I know you probably read the Drizzt novels,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Well, there was a prequel series that took place in Branson, the Drow city, and it was just from the perspective of this archwizard that was an evil bastard, and just the conflicts they had there. But one of the items he had, this would have been 3.5 rule set when those
Mm-hmm.
books were written, was a ring that he had like a small demi-plane inside of. That would be something that Boo would be like super primed and like wanting to spend upwards of almost all of his entire portion on.
Okay. Okay. I like this. Okay. So let's see. Footing. Let's see.
From reading this right on this website, it'd be about 15,000 gold.
To like put that, like, infuse that into an object or something.
Well, that would make it a very rare item,
Yeah.
correct?
That would
Yes.
almost be like a wondrous or artifact. I would in 5e. I don't know. Like I'm not trying to backseat DM or anything, but like
No,
I'd
no, you're fine.
almost like very rare. I'd push it way past like pocket dimensions. That's not something you can normally like. That would be we'd probably have to get that from Mert, or like a fucking broker, because it's not like a shopkeeper's just gonna be like, "Oh, I have a pocket dimension. Don't kill me and steal it."
Right.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not just going to be at some dude's shop.
We say pocket dimensions are common, but rope trick allows you to open a hole into another dimension and
Mhm.
stay in there.
Yeah, and it can't move. So I mean,
But I don't think with rope trick like that isn't like a like set dimensional like stationary space. I don't think with the case of that one. Like
With spell crafting and personal customization.
okay, that
So
yeah.
like Private Sanctum became one of my wizard's spell. It became a fortress. Every time he cast it, it looked like a fortress around him.
True.
And it actually gave the protection of doors, and nothing magical could come in and out without his permission or knowing. So I mean, rope trick, it takes a lot of time, but
Okay. So I would say because I like the ideas that we're having here, and I don't want to just be like no that's stupid because generally speaking I don't really give a shit about what rules as written are. If it's cool, I will do it. I don't give a shit what the restrictions that the Wizards of the Coast wants to say. So I would say in this like if you're wanting to do like to put demiplane into a item of some sort that you would just have that you can use to open your magical door into your secret bank vault hole, that would be doable. And I would say the reason that would be doable. So when you guys took out the one wizard dude in the tower and you got his shit, like the robe, the staff, the stuff that he's got, like he was a significantly high level wizard. And I would say if you're able to get a scroll of demiplane, which it's going to cost you a bit, which isn't really a problem right now, but I would say you could probably find that or be able to acquire that through the Blackstaff Mages Guild somehow. That in combination with the power, even though it's not as written in the item descriptions, I don't think at all, but I'm just going to say that it is, with the level of wizard that guy was with his robe and his staff. I would say if you have both of those on and you want to infuse demiplane into some ring or something, I will say that is doable. And we can do that. Because that sounds fucking cool.
okay, so here's what Boo has always, well, not always, but kind of envisions. I actually have a charred failed experiment in my inventory, which I've always figured was a thing to get to a demiplane.
Okay.
So I'm thinking like a skeleton key.
Okay.
That has an actual skull on it, of course.
Of course.
With like ruby eyes. But it's a 2-piece thing, right? So it's 2 keys that fit together.
Okay.
And when the keys fit together and you have the, word of power or whatever, you can turn a door and open a door to a small demiplane.
Sure. Cool. Yeah, I dig it. Let's do that. That sounds good. So, yeah, I mean, if you guys want to talk to Mert to get some help with this, cool. And then we can get the pieces for this demiplane thing. We'll say that's doable as well. These seem like good ideas to go with for resolving this little conundrum of massive pile of cash. Sounds good to me.
Sweet.
All right. So, that being the plan, then, So at this point, it would probably be some of you going to talk to Mert in the meantime about getting this money to these people that owe it, and then also, probably some of you going to Blackstaff, right?
Yeah, Torter and I will go to Blackstaff.
Who has the resonance stones?
The message ones.
Yeah, the ones that freaked Tord out when he first joined the group.
I'm pretty sure Zai has one. I think the other one is just on whoever happens to be conveniently needing to have it at the time.
I know I threw it at Boo because it freaked me out too much.
Probably. I'm not exactly sure whose pocket those things are in anymore. It's always just kind of been, if you guys were split up, you guys assumedly split up the stones that can talk to each other.
Well, I want to take one with Boo, and I want to give one to the dwarf in case he needs us.
All right. So you kind of hold your hand out with this stone to this dwarf, and he kind of peers at this for a moment, and he says, "Oh, if you're needing to talk to me, you won't need that. You can just think my name. I'll hear you."
Tord is gonna do his thing and look at Boo like, you have to remember his name.
Boo immediately thinks like very loudly, "Hey, dwarf man," just to see if it works.
He doesn't seem to respond to that at all.
And Jinku will
But
think, "Hey, Barack."
he doesn't actually respond to that either, but he seems to be in the process of like waving you over, Jinku, to like tell you something.
I'll go over there.
All right. So you come over to Barak here, and he kind of leans in close and says, "Barak is a nice name, but it is not my actual one. You, my friend, you may be simple, but I'm going to give you this important name to remember for the sake of your companions. If you think of Oranax, then I will hear you."
Oranax. Yes, that fits you much better than Barack.
He kind of smiles a little bit and says, "I like to think so." And you get kind of a strange glint in his eyes.
Well, we got a lot of business to attend to.
We sure do. So you guys kind of take your leave of, well, Oranax, and make your way back up out of this place. You guys make it up out of there with Raynar, make it up back out into the crypts. It's a little bit. It's definitely in the evening now by this point. He doesn't really seem to be anybody around at all. But Torda, Boo, sounds like you two were heading up to Blackstaff to see what you could find out there. The rest of you going to find Mert.
As we get to the top, Torda has this feeling of utter distrust of people and things and everything. He's
Okay.
actually going to go back into the tunnels, and he's going to keep the stun that he was going to give to the dwarf, and Boo can have the other one. But he just has this funny gut feeling, and he trusts his gut more than anything.
All right. All right. So Boo heading up to Blackstaff, and then, or is anybody else going with Boo to Blackstaff? Like, I don't know if Mixie would be going to Blackstaff with him, or and leave Jinku and Zai to go find Mix, or where would you be going with?
I'd rather go to Blackstaff alone through the sewers face down than go with Mix.
Fair enough. All right.
The hatred there.
All right. So Boo, you head that way. The other three of you, in terms of finding Mert, I mean, you guys have hung out with Mert plenty of times over the last few months, and you know that this time of evening, he is probably going to be at the Yawning Portal with his friend, hanging out. So that was, and that's not too far from here actually. It's pretty much straight west of here is where the Yawning Portal would be.
I'm Durnan.
Exactly. He's probably hanging out with his old venturing pal Durnan. So, Boo, you make your way alone across the city over to Blackstaff Tower, and you guys are fairly regular around there. You've done some work for them before. You guys aren't an uncommon sight, and you head inside, and kind of head to the kind of more researchy librarial portion of the tower, and head up to the desk. The kind of older gentleman behind the desk, sees you coming up here, Boo. It's like, ah, yes, Master Boothfit. What can we do for you today here at Blackstaff? Looking for anything in particular?
Well, I'm looking for a scroll of demiplane today.
Ooh, demiplane. Certainly a bit on the rare side, but I swear I've seen something like that around here somewhere. Okay. He kind of steps out. He kind of flips up the. Yeah, that's one of those kind of like flip up doors on desks that you see at like libraries sometimes. Yeah, flips it up and walks out. Comes out next to you, Boo, and says, "Hey, come along with me. We may be able to find it a little bit faster if we search together." And he begins. He kind of leads you off in the library here to up a couple little flights of stairs. You guys are kind of up on some balconies overlooking some kind of lower parts of the libraries, and he begins poking around on a series of shelves that are kind of filled with these very weathered looking tomes and things, and he kind of directs you to a couple of the shelves and says, "Well, if it's not these ones that I'm looking at here, I believe there may be a tome that has that one in there. I mean, we can certainly copy you a scroll out of it for a fee, of course. Assuming you can cover it, it's going to be a bit of a hefty one, I'm afraid. But take a look through those and see if it turns up. I'll take a look through these ones over here."
Okay.
And he begins kind of pulling tomes out and kind of muttering to himself and kind of flipping through the pages rapidly, kind of looking for what he's looking for here. You see a few tomes on the shelf here in front of you that he pointed out. There are it's kind of like a fine leather-bound one. It's kind of this deep burgundy red with these fine copper clasps, and next to it you see one that uh, looks like it was once kind of bound with some sort of perhaps some kind of like fine exotic animal skin of some sort. But it looks like it, seen a good bit of wear or something at some sort. The edges are a bit frayed and torn, and there's a couple scratches, it seems, across the parts of the cover. And then there is also a small, thin uh, tome that you see kind of leaning up against, kind of tucked between one of those and against like the edge of the shelf there. It seems fairly simple in terms of its binding. It's just it's small and like kind of a jet black color.
Okay. This one looks interesting and rare.
Which one?
The one with the black gem.
Okay. So pull that one out from between like the edge of the shelf and the other one, and pull it open. There's kind of a strange kind of scent that kind of lifts off the pages as you kind of crack this one open. It's almost kind of vaguely kind of a chemical scent of some kind. And you begin kind of flipping through some of the pages in here, and a number of these seem to be more kind of on the dark side of things. Some of these spells seem kind of necromantic in nature. Things relating to the undead, souls, that sort of stuff. Um, Kind of the sort of thing that you don't really see a lot about, just because it's kind of has more of a taboo around it. Nothing in particular related to Demiplane, though.
Who wants this book anyway?
All right.
And then grabs grabs one of the other ones to look at.
Okay. So you grab the one that was next to it there, which was the one kind of bound in this animal hide that looks like it had seen better days. And you crack this one open, and it just from like turning it over in your hands and like seeing how the book looks, it looks like wherever this came from before it ended up here at Blackstaff. It uh, seems to either have gone through some sort of disaster or something. It seems fairly damaged. But you crack open the book here, and the title page seems to note that this is the book of some wizard named Narcissus. And you kind of flip through the spells, and it seems to have like a pretty standard spread of wizard spells. And you're kind of flipping through here. The first chunk of it is all fairly low level stuff. Things that you've seen yourself. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Maybe a couple more interesting ones here and there in the mid ranges. But you get kind of like farther in the back, where some of the rarer ones are at, and you do find a recording of the demiplane spell that it seems Narcissus has recorded here in his tome.
All right. Well, I think what I need is in these two books here.
And the librarian kind of turns. He's kind of in the middle of like flipping through another book here. And he looks up and says, "Ah, good, good. Found something else to your liking along with demiplane, eh?" And he kind of claps the book he was working on shut and kind of puts it back up onto the shelf. over there. And he kind of turns and walks back towards you there and says, "Well, so you said you needed a scroll of demiplane from the one. Was there a scroll in particular you needed from the other one?"
Well, I enjoy learning about the theory that is in this book, mostly so I can better fight against the undead. Is there any way I could check this one out library style and borrow it for a week or so?
Ah, yes, we could certainly go that route if you're looking for a bit of a longer study session. And we know you all around here, and so if you wish to take that one with you for a week or so and better your studies for your adventures, I don't see why not. Although I would say don't read too deep into that one though. I know there's some rather disturbing things in there, if I recall. I mean, certainly things that might help in fighting the undead, but some things are probably better left unknown.
That's what they say, isn't it?
But he's, as he's kind of chatting with you about all this, you guys are walking back down to the front desk, and he kind of takes a note about this other book that you've gotten here, and then for the demiplane, he kind of turns. Says, "Well, for a spell of this caliber, it's going to be about, well, and with you all being friends of the Black Staff here, the not so insignificant sum of 7,000 gold pieces for a scroll of that type."
7,000 gold pieces. I mean, I am a savior of children and a hero of Waterdeep.
Oh, here we go.
Perhaps you could. Is there any sort of? Perhaps there's a Black Staff club I can pay a small fee to join, which gives me a percentage off on my first purchase afterwards, or something like that.
Trying to join the Black Staff Rewards program.
Okay, if there was two boos, you could figure out electricity by tossing a copper coin in between them, because they teach you how to draw wire real quick.
And he kind of chuckles a bit at this notion here and says, "Well, I mean, I can't say that we have any sort of discount program of sorts, but I mean, I suppose, given the assistance you've rendered to Lady Blackstaff in the past, I could, I guess the library would probably be fine with knocking another 1,000 off of that down to 6.
All right, that sounds a lot more reasonable. I really appreciate it. 6,000 is something I can do. Thank you. I gotta go home and tell the boss I got a deal. So this allows us both to walk away happy.
All right. All right. So I don't remember if you had taken any with you from the vault on the way here to pay him now. Or
Oh, I'm sure he packed every pocket. He's jingling like a fucking Salvation Army man in Christmas time.
All right. All right. So you kind of turn out whatever you need from your various satchels and things, trying to not look too suspiciously like a gigantic overstuffed bank sack. And, he kind of neatly sorts this away and kind of into a drawer here, and kind of gets to work with copying this over. He says it'll probably be like a good 30 minutes or so to get this all prepared properly, so you can certainly wait nearby on any of the benches around while they finish this up for you here.
I go to like the other side of a bookshelf from him
Hmm.
and like move the books so that like I can see him through the bookshelf.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to like he doesn't like try and hide what he does, so like the guy could probably see him too, and then he just stands there and watches.
All right. All right. So while Boo's waiting for that, the rest of you there, aside from Torta keeping an eye out on things, head over to the Yawning Portal, and it's an evening there. I mean, like many of the other times that you guys have come by, it's fairly bustling, and much to your expectation, you guys come in through the door. Durnan looks up from behind the bar as you guys come in. Says, "Ah, yes, hello, hello. Come right on over." And as you guys kind of head over to the bar, you see kind of Mert down at the end of the bar. Um, looks like he and like Durnan were chatting with each other when you guys came in. But he's kind of half into a tankard, as is tradition for him around here this time of the evening.
Of course.
And as you guys kind of pull up to the bar here, Merton says, "Ah, yes, the Troll Skull Bunch." And he kind of lowers his voice a little bit and kind of cups his hand in your direction. He says, "So, how goes things?" That bad,
I'm
huh?
not there, so I can't talk.
Yeah, Jinku and Zai and Mix, I believe, are the
Oh,
three that
sorry, Jinku's busy drinking. I figured that was implied. Y'all should know how Jinku acts in a bar by now.
are fair. All right. I guess mix Zai then, or either of you striking up conversation with Mert here.
Or are you just standing there staring at him?
Though I don't entirely know if Zai has gone to the moon up on the couch or not. That could be the case too. I'm gonna guess it is getting pretty close to 10.
We'll give them time to think since nobody can come up with anything. Torta wants to go back and visit Arnix.
Okay, sure. So Torta, you head back down through the vault here by yourself. Kind of just taking in the silence of it all as you kind of make your way easily back across things with your jumping and whatnot. But you head back down there, and Oranax is still just kind of hanging out on his little kind of awkward fabric stone wood platform thing that he's got for himself. And
The latch that, or the door that opened to the ladder to the spiral staircase, I kind of want to trap that with some noisemakers, like heavy things that'll jingle out of my pack. That way I know if somebody else comes down before Boo gets back.
sure, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'd say if you have any sort of like little jingly things, you could probably hang them up, kind of in the darkness of that staircase. So if somebody kind of dropped down and started coming down the spiral staircase, you could hear some things. Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Yeah, I got some rope and some other crap that's taking up space back here.
Yeah,
But really, I'm just gonna go offer the guy some companionship since he's been there meditate. Just sit down and start meditating.
Okay. All right. So you head down there. You kind of take a seat next to this guy. I mean, he kind of seems to be in somewhat kind of a meditative pose himself down here. And like after a moment, he kind of, his eyes are still closed, but he kind of speaks to you in the semi-darkness down here, and you still got the bits of sunlight coming down from somehow through the ceiling. And he says, "So, left you down here alone."
Personal choice to stay here. One can appreciate the silence and the solitude that this place offers.
I understand. I know it all too well. Silence and solitude is a lot of my time here, elsewhere, most of my existence.
Most of mine too. I mean, I know I haven't been around as long as you have. I know. I would just kind of ask him what he's gonna do once we move the gold and he's no longer bound and obligated to be here.
Let me see here. He is kind of silent for a moment. And then thinks, well, I mean, if the contract here ends, then I guess that means I am free to roam once again. And I could travel back to old haunts of mine, across the sea, perhaps. I'm not entirely sure. The time comes and goes, and places come and go, peoples come and go. Probably away from the city, at least. It's quiet down here, but which, I mean, at least has made this agreeable during the time of my contract here, but I much prefer to be alone and away in forgotten places. And although this place is certainly forgotten, there is still a lot that goes around in the area that I can sense. It's not quite quiet enough for my liking.
So before you leave Waterdeep, definitely stop by the Troll Skull, say your goodbyes, and then I'll just go into my meditation.
And kind of, as you mentioned this, you kind of just hear this like very kind of soft, low, kind of friendly sounding chuckle at this suggestion. And he kind of goes back to that kind of meditative state as well, and you two are just kind of both down here in this, ancient dwarven vault tomb in the dark, just kind of vibing together, you and this dwarf. And I think that'll probably be a good spot to call it for now, since it's 10 and I'm pretty sure we lost Riz upstairs. But cool. We'll pick this up next time with I guess the dealings with Mert there, and getting the cash to people and what all happens with that, and yeah, I'm not entirely. We'll have to see how things play out. We might get things done next time. It might be one more after that. It just all kind of depends on how long things take with role playing and whatever else happens. But we are very close. Very cool. All right. Well, we will see you guys in 2 weeks then.
All right. See you later, man. Thanks for running.
Yeah. Have a good one.
That was a great session. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a personal question. Does Zord ever give his true persona? Who he is?
I mean, he might, depending. I mean, you certainly get the sense that he is definitely not a dwarf.
Oh no, not the dwarf. I'm talking about the captain of the ship because
Oh, Zord.
yeah.
Perhaps.
I don't know if everybody's as big a fan as I am, so
I'm a fail boy. I'll admit it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what happens next time, but yeah, that very well could happen. But yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, if you're aware of like some of like the stories and stuff around Waterdeep and stuff, you might very well know that Zord is not Zord. But he is certainly another somewhat well-known character. But
the session where we were in with the beholders and he showed up, I had to personally restrain like myself because I'm like, holy shit, I know this character and like it's one of my all-time favorites.
yeah, he's a real great guy. He's a fun character. But yeah, I think depending, we'll see what happens next time. But I think yeah, I think you guys might find out who he actually is next time. So.
All right, y'all have a good night.
Good night, all.
All right, good stuff. All right, let me see if there's anybody I can raid this time of night here. Send you guys over. Oop, hello. I know a couple other ones I usually do are usually like right on the tail end of their games. Let's go raid. We'll raid Rob this time. All right. It's nice. It's cool to be finally getting to the end of this little campaign here.
Hole in the woods, not too far away from the cave, but far enough away that you don't run into other shit, and you
Level up.
successfully complete a long